Bene, quale che... Thanks. Merci Esteban. So, what I will go a little bit deeper, because we speak about non sapere, we don't speak about the visualization, and the goal who is to make an exhibition about this kind of panels. No? Yeah. And these panels are the contrary about our goal. But we accept to do this. So it's a joke to say something in the school who has this dimension, a kind of ideology, and we will see we had also ideologies who are out of
education.
Who are also a little bit black. But I think it's interesting to analyze the semiotic of these elements and who we come to an explication. Because we have to make a kind of reconstruction of this kind and look to test if the non-sapere are able to be transmitted like this, or if we, at the moment we try, and this was what Muriel say in Toulouse, or what's her name? Nathalie saying in Toulouse, is to say, when we make the representation, come to not be knowledge. I'm not agree about this. It's only how can we do it to stay something in question and not something in confirmation. When we analyze a little bit this historical element, we see here we have a construction, and this is very interesting when you start to look at detail, constructed about a part of this animal who is outside to recognize it. It's a function of recognizing, and then the information we need inside with the information of transmission they will do. So we have three levels. We have the skelet, we have the intestine and the functioning of the gut, and we have the outside. All these are mixed in one panel with this explication who are going outside. Then, that's the point of. So then we have other situation, other elements who are interesting also because they mixed three topics at all. They present in one way the gorilla outside, the skeleton of gorilla, the crown of gorilla. They make a comparison between the human crowns and the gorilla crowns, and they speak about so you see there is a kind of explication who the teacher can go from one point to the other, and who he construct explication. Then we have this kind of element. I don't have to explain anymore. The only point of who is interesting is this focus in between friends at all and friends in detail. So how we work also with Zoom and with this kind of explication. Then we have this musculation. I don't understand absolutely. Muscle profond, muscle profond. Muscle profond, muscle profond. It's the front and so this
front and back.
Front of back. Here again, no. The first one is interesting because we start to have a story of a situation. So it's not only the description of one animal. Is start to have a compare, start to explain how they are in a space, and you see the difference of level of of explication. We have really this general element who give us the possibility to compare curves, different typology of curves, but in the same time who explain what are the ways they are in the house. And then we make a focus about the way to take milk, and you have a focus on the so there are different focuses who explain something very interesting, and I like this very free way to go from one story to the other. So this is something we have a little bit forget in graphic design. We often make one picture, and the picture has to explain everything. So how can we also, with cohabitation of pictures, but also with multi-level of explication, introduce this kind of element?
And what about the role of the text in this?
The text, I think the text gives you the explication about what you see. So it's a kind of filter of read and gives the vocabulary for the
glossary.
Yeah, it's a kind of a glossary. So this is the same. I go quick. This is a little bit different because here you proceeded in comparison. So it's the compare of different situations. We will present one who we use this compare to bring in understanding something. So we need the contrary to explain what is our element. So on the top we have this situation. So it's not so explicated, but the image gives the explication. This again, and there we enter in typology a little bit more for higher students. Who we have the culture, we have the object, we have the chemical element, and so it's. But the structure is the same, and we have this entrance, and the entrance is a little bit hyper-realistic, and then we go to more abstract elements. I like this one about Brady, who explain the way to cut our zooms, and you see the zooms are not in the same level, but each time the explication are very important. The relation of the picture and the not picture. La houille is, I don't know how you say houille.
It's miniera.
La miniera is also interesting. We have the objects and we have the situation of the workers, and we have a cut of the. So you see totally different aspect in the same element, who gives the possibility to enter in subjects. This is yours, so there are
the same.
So it's a little bit the same, I think. Yeah. But surely it's more complex than to speak about not object, but artifacts and articulation, movement, and this is, we need more element. I don't know what the egg has to do with this, but.
This is articulation and muscle.
This is it's the end of the. It's not an egg.
And this is
that's the system of knowledge, but I think of nervous system. This will be interesting to look what's the new knowledge are coming.
Yeah.
So this is, I think we don't need many many explications. They are very clear at all. And then we enter into history, and this is probably for what this morning Vera say. Yes, I can turn it if you will.
Command L.
C'est un PDF, non?
No, Command L is la format.
Ouais, ça ne marche pas, ça marche que dans le prix.
It's not a problem, but it's a very terrible way. I think it's Greek or
I think it's Russian.
It's Russian.
No.
So this.
I think it's Greek, but not enough Greek.
Contemporary Greek, yeah. But the colonial view of the world. And here we absolutely see the ideological way to see the. I will turn it because this is.
Yes, because
Maybe if we go to the instruments.
Affichage.
Okay.
Rotation. Où est-ce qu'il y a la rotation?
The first one, rotation. Sopra.
It's better in like this?
No, another time. Other 2 times. Another?
Okay.
Yeah, we have.
And this is probably something who is happening
It's medical one.
in wartime. So it's a kind of explication of accidents and
Il primo intervento, le prime cose che si fanno.
But not only, it's also it's the first secure, but it's also why something happened. So can be because of fermentation, or this is CO2 oxygen problems. So you have at first the explication why can happen, and then what you have to do.
To do il primo servizio prima dell'arrivo dei prima dell'arrivo dei medici.
It's a kind of basic element of first circle. Then is racist and this way that we explain the world in the different countries. And this is, I suppose, also in the time of the fascists.
Yeah.
But you have also this history. The way that we see the history, I think it's very interesting. We have the national historical way, we have the international historical way, and we see how this can change absolutely the focus and the way to explain everything.
Il fatto che la difesa ci siano i carri armati è interessante.
So this is moral. This explica. Yeah. So the moral education is you have to do this. Woman has. And the other has a ball, and so this cliche who are educated in the school.
I think that is interesting, the fact that it doesn't seem that is discrimination. It seems something beautiful, no? Something, but there is a real stereotype that the girl is a little bit less and watch at the boy have the door and the ball. The girl have the flower, the doll, and the house. No? It is really a qualification of the rule in the family.
Anche I colori, che
Yeah.
sono principalmente appunto 2
Exactly.
e si sposano in maniera armoniosa.
Certo.
Absolutely. So we see also this instrument of ideology and this instrument of So how can we broke also this in our approach? And other aspects were more to do with medicine again.
Yeah, because of course there is the second level.
You have only a assist.
No, this is yours, it's not mine.
So,
I have a little bit of focus. Yeah.
I will try to go again in rotation.
Yeah.
Yes. So this was our proposition, and did I let you explain it?
Ok, devo
Come
farlo,
vuoi,
ok.
parliamo.
Sì,
Più che altro così vado un po' più veloce, se no... Allora, siamo partiti un attimo, questo qua è un attimo,
Dal teatro.
ce l'ho qua, ok. Esatto, dalla struttura in cui intanto si dispone la classe, una classe tradizionale.
No, questo è come prima.
Questo è quello prima.
Siamo,
Ok, già quello più avanti.
siamo alle sinistra.
Sto parlando degli step, ok. Sì, perché stavamo parlando delle slide.
Democrazia nella discussione, capito?
No, perché abbiamo parlato appunto delle slide come metodo di apprendimento, giusto? E che appunto non sono per niente legate all'improvvisazione, ma è tutto chiaramente studiato e preparato come in precedenza, e invece contrariamente abbiamo fatto degli esempi come il teatro o la musica vivono di improvvisazione in questo senso. Allora, un attimo.
Abbiamo fatto il teatro, la musica
Sì,
e
sì.
la situazione di un exchange.
Sì,
Somebody is not ready. So the negative and the positive one. The music, the jazz, and the theater,
Esatto.
improvisation. So also to change a little bit the focus we have, because you say it's only a negative part in Italian. So and then we take the question: did we need? We don't need more improvisation in the teaching. Is a question. So we don't give the answer.
Yeah.
Esatto.
It's not. And then we.
E poi appunto abbiamo parlato di come la struttura in un certo senso circolare può indurre un apprendimento che non è univoco ma è più univoco, quindi anche legato al fatto che le distanze sono le stesse nel senso circolare e invece
Non ci sono i banchi dietro e i banchi davanti.
Esatto. E poi abbiamo appunto fatto una riflessione sull'improvvisazione legata a questa circolarità, che comunque parte tutto da una question, da una domanda, ed è tutto, i topics si sviluppano a partire da domande e non da appunto affermazioni, non da concetti costrutti già stabiliti,
Sì,
come
sì.
invece nell'apprendimento tradizionale. E che quindi poi alla fine una cosa lega l'altra, come si vede nello schema in alto a destra, che è un po' anche quello che abbiamo fatto prima con Silvia.
Sì. Ok, avversario.
Sì,
abbiamo
detto che
in parte
prima.
la ripetizione del sempre sapere in 2020 e in 2030. Conosco quali persone che fanno corso e ripetono sempre i sempre. Ma anche in questa situazione il solo momento di questioning is control. So the
Verifica.
professor asks the other to look, they understand what he said. So this communication is only about the transmission of the sapere and not about exchange. And the second one, we see also the introduction of actuality in the system. who give. But we see also one person, one student can ask a question, or can have or not have knowledge, and all the course adapt on this base of dialogue in between the different persons.
C'era una cosa buffa che mi viene in mente, mi è venuta in mente guardando questa cosa, quando io ero alle elementari, nella mia storia, avevamo grembiuli, la maestra con il grembiule nero e tutto, e c'era un'unica classe che aveva un maestro, perché tutte erano maestre, donne, l'unica classe che aveva un maestro, l'unica classe che aveva questa idea sperimentale, e lui metteva i banchi intorno. Noi andavamo a vedere, ma era giudicato il maestro strano, sì, il maestro, sì vabbè, lui è quello strano. E noi quindi avevamo, le nostre maestre ci dicevano che quello era il modo sbagliato di fare lezione. Però io non mi ricordo il nome della mia maestra, mi ricordo che mi si chiamava maestro Pieroni, me lo ricordo, perché comunque sia era un'idea che si capiva che era qualcosa di diverso, cioè noi ci dovevamo alzare in piedi quando entrava la maestra, cioè tutta una serie di comportamenti precisi che in questa classe invece non erano fatti.
Ma in realtà io pure quando andavo alle elementari ero a ferro di cavallo, mi ricordo che però hanno dovuto smettere di fare questa cosa per questioni di sicurezza.
Oh, lo sapevo, lo stavo già dicendo. Cioè questa cosa della sicurezza è una cosa terrificante che ci dicono continuamente per qualsiasi cosa. Noi giù non possiamo usare il chiostro per problemi di sicurezza, non possiamo fare le cose per sicurezza, senza fare la rivoluzione, però comunque sia è uno strumento per veramente che viene usato per non...
So, no, we are 2:30. I propose that Aber,
Yeah.
you are here, I think.
Yeah.
I see you. How are you?
Good. How are you?
So, I don't know if you follow all the day. It's a little bit chaotic because we enter different topics in very short time. So this morning we work about improvisation. What is teaching? What is improvisation teaching? How can we open a little bit this structure to say one has the knowledge and the other becomes the knowledge, but to say we are all the knowledge and how can we mix this? It's just starting this what we do. Huh? We are really to go deeper also in this contextual, not contextual element. But so this is a workshop we do this morning. I think we can now offer you 1 hour to think a little bit about your problematic, and will be interesting. You bring us also a kind of exercise to do.
Yeah.
You are the leader. You can do what you will.
No, actually, I heard. Am I audible and visible?
Yeah, perfectly.
Yeah.
I just when I signed in.
Abir, sorry,
Yeah.
can you just try to talk a bit more slowly for the Italian students that are here?
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
so thank you so much.
Okay. So, so when I just joined this session, Rudy was showing us a series of images, and they were, of people, and there was a strange kind of interesting kind of series that I kind of just got a glimpse of. The first thing that it reminded me was, we have very similar images, like posters with such classifications, especially the conversation that was happening about the boy and the girl, the way the boy was standing next to the ball and the girl next to the flower.
Yeah.
Now, the first thing that came to my mind which connected with what I was trying to say yesterday, is that today, thanks to the social sciences, thanks to a lot of ideas that are available to us, we are actually able to see the world in a particular way and develop an understanding of that world in a particular way. So, for instance, to give you an example, among the images that I shared, like among the files that I shared, there's one file which is like a documentation of textiles. It's just a historic documentation of textiles from Kashmir. Now, 20 years ago or even 10 years ago, somebody looking at that would be looking at motifs, would be looking at how a flower has been woven, or what is the form of the flower. Is it becoming bigger or smaller or more stylized or less Persian, more Indian? This kind of a conversation would happen, right? Today, we can look at that same set of textiles and read various things into it. For instance, example, we know that there were natural dyes and chemical dyes. There is a tremendous sort of, let's say, awareness in the world to talk about things that are organic, to kind of look at things which are handmade, in a particular process and so on. So when we look back into that material historically, we can also start looking at that. So for instance, the only insight that I wanted to bring from that list of textiles is that how the handmade industry in Kashmir, because in Kashmir they were using the hand, was actually responding to technological differences that were happening in Europe. And we can read that history into those images, the same way that we are reading a certain idea of gender into that poster of the boy and the girl, which we would not read 10 years ago. And to be able to bring these ideas. So, for instance, when we talk about art or when we talk about artifacts of craft, do we read histories of technology? Am I making sense? Like, we can read that. So to give you a specific example, I can bring out that image if required. Like, for instance, what happened was that in the 19th century, the jacquard loom was invented in France, and it could weave a lot of complex patterns onto textiles. However, following the pattern of industrialized weaving, one color that was sort of introduced to, let's say, the warp of the textile would remain uniform, unless or otherwise you'd have to introduce a second color to change that warp, from motif to motif. I mean, if you want, I can image, so don't worry. So when this industrial technology came in, the people in Kashmir started doing every motif in a different color, because they could do that, because they were changing the colors by hand. So this was a way that, so I'm just giving you this as an example that human society or human capacity to make has always challenged ideas of technology. However,
we see today that this technological element, I'm absolutely agree with you, but we have also, we can say, ethical elements. Ecology now change absolutely some elements of the, also of the color, also of the way to do the element, and enforce or destabilize or make that we have to do it in another way. And I think this is the challenge we have now. Huh?
Yes. Exactly the direction. Yes. So, how do we bring these ideas into conversation of design? That is very important, because we have a certain understanding of certain things right now. I wanted to put in one more example when you were talking about this, that the reason why we are repeating this idea is that one would imagine that this would happen naturally. One would imagine that with our growing understanding of the world, our representation of the world will also be equally nuanced, right? That is what seems normal to us, or but what is in fact happening is that we are actually falling into a template driven world,
Exactly.
right? Which is why
Yes.
one is trying to make this point. More and more, because of transnational communication, because of global communication, we are trying to simplify our representation so that everyone can understand. And that is where I think we need to get in and get work done, because there we are losing a lot of opportunity, to
Yes.
actually be able to use the sensitivity that we understand, which we have, but we are sometimes giving up that opportunity in our practice,
Yes.
because in this sort of effort to make things, because it's also more complicated, it's more expensive, it's time, so how do we bring in, so that was just to kind of give an idea about why.
If I can, just an example from Palestine, can I?
Sure.
Please.
I come. Where is the camera? Where you can see me?
Yeah.
No, but you can sit here and
Okay. I can just
somebody
talk. It's okay.
Yeah, let's see that.
So Abir, I'm working also as a consultant in the craft and in the craft sector, and I was working on a project in Gaza, Palestine. So Gaza is also very known for, or Palestine is very known for the embroideries and the weaving, and Gaza was very known for the weaving, but isn't anymore because Israelis took over the land. So the weavers are now refugees in Jordany and somewhere else. So they are trying to go on with their skills, but Gaza remains completely isolated. So today they don't have any more production of textile on the ground, which could be possible totally, because they have still let's say sheets, and they could go on with that. But I was just working on the textile and garment sector, but it was so difficult to make them understand. We have, first of all, before looking of the market, to see what we can do for the local market and how we can bring back also the people, Gaza people, who are in a kind of let's say schizophrenic situation, because they lost a bit of hope, but they're also very hopeful. So they are very brave and very courageous. And so we try to get to bring back some work on textile and to upgrade what dead stocks or something, things like that. But if you think about the richness it was to have the weaving and everything, it's gone. And then to explain to an international organization, we need more time to be able to install this kind of resistance.
You are here, Abel, or it's...
Yeah, he's here. I can see
I speak before about the comparative history, and you present us yesterday many examples of how you explain, and this beautiful explains the culture of textile, of cashmere or other elements. But I think what we don't have enough is comparative elements. Is to start to say, okay, in Colombia is like this, here is like this, here is like this, and this is the richness of all. And if one start to make the same as the other, we lose this element. And to bring in visibility, and I think it's really also graphic design, bring in visibility also what is losed, what is not losed, dispirited, what is still not existing. These techniques who exist one time and are forgotten or are not in use in the moment. And how can we do this in a world way? And then from the word way we enter in the specificity. But I see it a little bit, I make a work about change our world, and I enter a little bit in the social and economical statistic and all this. And we see all these elements are constructed on what I name the competition in between cultures. Huh? So each trying to say, I'm this and I'm better of the other. Look at the statistic. I'm in the first, or in the second, or in the 10. Who is absolutely not important, because in the end, we don't see the general element. Huh? We don't see what is the richness of everything, or we also don't see what's the danger of some situation, ecological situation and all this, because it's okay if Switzerland is better in the ecology as Germany, but this gives me not the information about what's the danger of the world.
Yeah.
And this is, I think, in culture is a little bit the same point. Is each country is a strong country, has a strong way to present her work, the other has more difficulty. But how can we work in this relation in between all these elements? Huh? Yeah.
Are without.
Before I respond, because I wanted to connect something that I didn't get your name. Ma'am, you.
Imke.
Okay, of course. So, yeah, and Rudy was saying before I connected, would you like to finish what you were saying? Is there anything? Were you done with what you were trying to say?
It's okay like this. It was just to connect this with what you were saying, and
she's in news that Rudy cut her.
Yeah, we all are in this news.
No worries. It
Okay.
is. For me, it was important just to make to give some other example because it's happening all over, and it's happening. I saw it in Algeria. I saw it in Palestine. I see it in Madagascar. Domi is working on things like that. It was just to say exactly what you are talking about is very important, and we are here to listen.
Cool. So I'd like to bring in two ideas. Just give me 2 minutes to form this argument. The 20th century already, the century that we've left behind, it is already a century of, wars and migration and displacement. I mean, that's a reality that we thought was over, but no, it seems to continue even today. So, but we know that as a reality. And as a consequence of that, I just want to give one example. What we do not realize, that happened as a part of the partition of the subcontinent. It's a strange day to talk about it. Yesterday was the Queen's funeral. But when India was partitioned in 1947 into India, Pakistan, and later in 71, East Pakistan and West Pakistan were also divided into Pakistan and Bangladesh. What it also did, apart from dividing people, was it divided skills, it divided crafts, it divided cultures. It divided cultures of cooking, cultures of printing, cultures of stitching, all of these things. Okay. What then happened was that India was perhaps in a slightly better position to run these so-called conservation projects, or these revival projects, or these protectionist, that is the word that I had used in the presentation yesterday.